Bob Iger finally talks about the future of Star Wars. What's up, everybody? Today I'm here to talk about Bob Iger and Star Wars. If you don't know who this man is, he's the most powerful man in entertainment business. He's Feige's boss, he's Kathleen Kennedy's boss, and he finally actually talked on an interview that was published at The Hollywood Reporter about the future of Star Wars. So if you are a big Star Wars fan like myself, you probably have been wondering what would happen to the future of Star Wars following the backlash of The Last Jedi. We all know this movie created division, you know. You look at YouTube, there are plenty of videos complaining about it, why people hated this film. And a lot of the backlash was not taken serious. A lot of people are just saying it's a small minority. But then after Solo Star Wars flopped, people started paying attention. There's definitely a red flag was definitely raised. And obviously, Disney needs to pay attention to these things. Even though they didn't publicly address the backlash, they are paying attention. So in the Hollywood Reporter, a very interesting interview is titled Bob Iger Talks Disney Streaming Service, Roseanne, James Gunn, and the Coming Star Wars Slowdown. So this is a very interesting article. I will put the link below if you want to read the whole thing, but I will just be addressing the Star Wars part. But it also starts saying the Disney CEO and most powerful person in entertainment opens up about his plan for a Netflix rival, ESPN politics problems, and how the Me Too has changed his company. So if we scroll down over here, because I want to get into the Star Wars part, many believe Disney should pump the brakes and not put out a Star Wars movie each year. So this is pretty much the narrative that the media was putting out there following the flop that Solo was. Because, you know, the media's been saying now they're using the excuse that is fatigue, you know, that the fans, it's too many movies, which I actually disagree. But let's see what Bob Iger actually responded to this. He said, I made the timing decision, and as I look back, I think the mistake that I made, I take the blame. Was a little too much, too fast. You can expect some slowdown, but that doesn't mean we are not going to make films. J.J. Abrams is busy making episode 9. We have creative entities, including Game of Thrones creator David B. and D.B. Wise, who are developing sagas of their own, which we haven't been specific about. So it's very interesting that right over here, he's saying creative entities, but he specifically is not mentioning Rian Johnson. That is the one guy that's been there all over Twitter, you know, back and forth at the fans, talking about his stupid trilogy. You know, I even made a video kind of telling him off for like going off, making fun of a YouTuber, you know. But anyway, I have no respect for Rian Johnson. And if his trilogy actually happens, I mean, I couldn't care less, whatever. But I find very interesting that on this statement, he doesn't mention Rian Johnson. So it seems to me that he wants to wait and see the outcome of episode 9 in order to make decisions. But so he's not saying yes and he's not saying no, but he does talk about the Game of Thrones creators, but does not mention Rian Johnson. So that's very, very interesting. I don't know if this is good news or if it's bad news, because again, he's still saying creative entities. That means it's not only the creators of Game of Thrones, other people. So it could be Rian Johnson. Let's continue. Who are developing sagas of their own, which we haven't been specific about. And we are just at the point where we are going to start making decisions about what comes next after JJ. So it's exactly what I thought. You know, they're going to wait to see the aftermath of episode 9 to see if it's really being affected by The Last Jedi. That's how I see it. But I think we're going to be a little bit more careful about volume and timing. And the buck stops here on that. So I think that's what is very interesting over here is that, you know, he's talking about volume again. So he's not really dismissing the fact that it could be fatigue, that it's too many films. But I just hope that they are not getting the wrong idea. Because again, it doesn't matter if you're giving people one movie at every 4 or 10 years. If they're bad movies, they're still not going to be successful, okay? That's my problem. So I don't think it's fatigue. I think it's bad films. People are completely turned off after The Last Jedi, or a big chunk of the fans were turned off. I was completely turned off. Now, The Last Jedi made good money, but in comparison to The Force Awakens, it was way less. And that's because I believe a lot of word of mouth, okay, a lot of the fans watched the film and they were very unhappy. They're very vocal about it. I hated the film myself. So what happens is if fans go watch the film and they really don't like it, they'll go over and over again. And that's not what happened to The Force Awakens. I believe in The Force Awakens, people watched the film multiple times, you know, and they took other friends with them. But after The Last Jedi, people were turned off and a lot of people boycotted Solo. We know about that. And also some other people are not even interested. There's also the fact that, you know, Solo being played by a different guy. Not only that, there was problems in the production. There's a lot of things that would, but I believe the biggest factor for the flop was the backlash of The Last Jedi. People were completely turned off. However, the only thing that worries me a little bit, that even though Bob Iger, it seems that they are paying attention, he's not really specifically addressing the backlash, but he's talking about volume, okay? So they might think that it was because it was too close to each other, perhaps. But I mean, if he looks to inside his own company, why is Marvel so successful in putting so many movies one after the other and Star Wars can't accomplish that? So I believe it's not the volume that is the problem. The problem is the quality of the films. And this is what I wish they would understand. As a fan, what Star Wars fans want is quality films, are films that people can talk about and have fun about, you know, and we just want Star Wars to be fun again. We don't want Star Wars to be this mess. We don't want Star Wars to be completely out of tone. We don't want Star Wars to be, you know, making fun of original characters, even though we know they're supposed to go anyways. We're supposed to let go of these characters, but they should go as heroes. They should go, they should be honored, okay? However, they kind of missed the chance, right? When you look at The Force Awakens, they missed the chance to give a reunion to the fans. I think that was terrible. They killed Han Solo prior to giving the fans a reunion. That was my biggest issue with The Force Awakens. I do understand that, you know, eventually if Solo were to die, I wish he would die heroic, okay? I wish that he would not die the way that he did. And I wish that at least we would have seen a scene of the three originals together, okay? Him with Leia and Luke, but I mean, they missed that opportunity and now it's too late. It's never going to happen again unless it is done with CGI, because we all know Carrie Fisher is no longer with us. So I wanted to talk about this and I would like to hear your opinion. What do you think this means for Star Wars, this slowdown? Do you think this is a good thing? In my opinion, if it is to really give the fans quality films, I'm totally up for that, okay? Because it's better to plan these things out and really put good content out there than just throwing movies thinking that people are just going to be consuming, because I don't think it works like that. I think that the Star Wars fans, you can tell that the fans are going to really dissect the films. They're going to be talking about it. And if they don't like the material, the content, I don't think they're going to support. And clearly we can see that with the aftermath of Solo. I actually did not like that film, even though a lot of people that I talked to, they enjoy the film. I didn't enjoy the film for a lot of reasons, you know, but it wasn't the worst film. In comparison to The Last Jedi, Solo was a superior film, even though I didn't like either. But right now, I just wish that Disney is actually really paying attention to the fans' complaints. I wish that they're not only thinking that it's a problem of volume or timing, but it's mostly quality. That's what the fans are asking for. Quality films. The reason why to this day people quote Darth Vader here and there, Leia and Anakin or Obi-Wan and all these things. These are part of culture. Here begs the question, what's the deal with Rian Johnson's trilogy? He didn't mention it, however he does say creative entity. What's the deal with Kathleen Kennedy? No one knows. She has kind of disappeared. And I'm pretty sure that everyone is just waiting to see what's going to happen after episode 9 in order to go forward. My wish is that Star Wars goes back to what it used to be, a good, fun, entertaining film, and that actually inspired hope. And, you know, in order to do that, I believe they have to start redeeming the characters that they destroyed. And I don't know if that's possible. So even though I have, you know, I wish the best for Star Wars, I'm not sure if that's going to happen, you know. I'm not sure if they are going to be able to redeem Luke. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to redeem Han or Leia, you know, after that terrible flying Leia in space, and now that Carrie Fisher is no longer around. So I don't know how. I don't know. It